Mosquitoes in May here are just terrifying. It's not fun to work with them. Just like little monsters they are. If mosquitoes were somehow eradicated from the earth, they're one of the only species that I wouldn't mind that happening to. Mosquitoes and ticks. Oh, kind of nice to be able to burn stuff and keep things going. Gets rid of what you don't need and what's cluttering the place. Fire is a really nice tool. So when Tuff and I were back here just 10 minutes ago, I went to the neighbors to get water, grabbed 2 5-gallon buckets, and I filled them, one of them with 9 eggs. And the reason I didn't do a full dozen is because I want to add more, the 3 for the second braining, just to make a little more potency in the water, because they'll absorb a lot of the protein. This process of egg tanning replaces the brain tanning method if you don't have brains, or the brains of the deer that you wanted to get eaten by your dogs, or you don't get to them in time. Brains are one of the fastest things to go on the entire animal, so a lot of times what I'll end up using is just egg yolk and or another solution of mine. It's an oil tan solution. Either way works, but one's just lighter and fluffier. I got a lot of hide scraps from fleshing and edges and fat and hair over by my fleshing beam, and I'm honestly, with the heat of this fire, debating just burning all that. Be better than dumping it, and then nobody else would have to deal with it and it'd just be gone. Keep your hides well taken care of. Bugs will get to them in the summertime. Okay, back to the buckskin. I have these buckets. Clean water, egg water. And the egg water already has 2 hides. One big, one, I don't know, I would say small, not really small, but this. This is a small hide. This is a craft hide. Not one hole in it, but not a big hide. And the other one of those is this one, which is a pretty decent hide, and it's in for its first, as we would call, braining, and this is the second, which is in for its second braining of egg. They should turn out really nice and soft. They're bucked really well. All right, we're gonna walk to the ringing pole. As always, goes flesh side down, grain up, so we don't damage the grain, even though there is no grain. This is just how it is. Neck over tail end, and we roll it up. And make it neat when you roll it, so it gets an even drain. There's a lot of bubbles coming out of the hide right now, which means that it's taken the tanning solution really well, and we can frame it up for its final bits. Alright, and I transition the hide as well, so when I get it all wrung on one side, there will be 2 edges that are really dry and 2 edges that are still sopping wet, and those need to get wrung too. lot of mosquitoes back here. I'm gonna open it up and see how it breaks. Wow, that's breaking really well. Just goes from kind of different fibers to completely white in one stretch. That's what we want. Next step. So when I do this part, I'm just punching holes right now for the frame so it can go on the frame. And some people use a boning knife, and I personally don't, because the last time I used a boning knife or a fillet knife to do the job, that's a slit, not a hole, so it tends to tear really easily. So I use a leather punch and an antler awl that I made out of the tine of an antler. So I kind of punch out all my holes, and then I'll poke them all with the awl and then put it on the frame. So this process it takes a little bit of time, and I sit as close to the fire as I can. For one, the mosquitoes don't like the heat, and even though I don't like it, I'd rather the heat than the mosquitoes. And then two, it will dry out the skin a little bit as I go, and then this just takes a while because you have to go around the whole hide, and people go different lengths, but what I'm doing is, you can see the bucks right here, so that part's going to get hard really fast, but what I'm doing is about every 2 inches apart and about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge. I would prefer paracord for this, but right now all I have is hay twine, so that's what I'm using, hay twine, to keep these hides up. So I'm having the flesh side facing me, and the grain will be on the back. And there is reasons for that, and the reasons, sorry, I'm a little frazzled at the moment. The reason for that mainly is so that we can push, when we scrape, all the moisture to the grain side rather than locking it inside the hide by scraping the grain side. Mm-hmm. What are you digging for, Tough? Oh, okay. Dogs. They're crazy. So as this is stretched and on the frame right here, I'll take I have some sanding blocks, and I'll take them and scrape off the bit of grain that was left on the grain side, and do a little bit of sand bucking, and then I'll take that same sander when we're done scraping this side and sand it off before taking it down. Okay, getting there slowly. Tough? What? What, Tough? What, Jen? The hide is coming along. As you can see, it's not very big. So the reason that we do so close and so many holes in the hide is so that you have less stress on any one particular hole, which makes less of the hide rip, break, and makes it better for working. And it needs to be really tight, like drum tight. Well, maybe not drum tight, but really tight. Nice thing about having animals around that you have to feed hay to is that you have no shortage of hay twine, which is always handy for every project you can imagine. All right, now the finishing bit of this hide. I might reinforce the neck, we'll see. So the last bit I'm going to do before we start breaking the fibers on this hide is I'm going to reinforce the top here, the neck a little bit, because that is always the part that will give in on you when you really need it to not give in on you. Just pulled it right through there. Okay. Hello. Now down here. All right, now that that's done, we're gonna grab the tool for breaking this. It'll work really well for this. It's just a typical elk antler with a rasp, and those are what the professionals use, and I'll be switching over to that because it is the best thing. But a lot of guys just use wood too. So as this process is prolonged and it's stretched in every direction, a small skin turns into a larger skin as we continue to tighten the string, because then its shrink will be considerably less. And as you can see, this hole was supposed to be sewn, but I didn't sew it. I am now tightening the buckskin so that we can move on to wringing the other buckskin while this one is tight. It's nice having the fire, but mosquitoes are not by the fire, they're over here, and so am I. But here's the buckskin. I just tightened it up, so it's really tight now. And I'll keep working and working and working till it's nice and soft and almost dry, and then when it's mostly dry, take it off and cable it. And here's the finished product. This includes the smoking. It's a very, very nice, very soft, flexible. It's better than flannel, and it's got a nice color of a light gold tan, and it smells like smoke now, so it's got to air out a little more, but not much of a buckskin. It's more of a craft hide than anything else, but It's one of the softest things that you can imagine, and it's well worth all the work for it, especially since it's $20 a square foot. Some people can get 25 to 30. So I would recommend making your own buckskin every day of the week if you can, because you can make a business out of it. Some people make a living out of it, and if nothing else, you can make yourself moccasins or slippers or shirts or pants or any of those things that are really nice to use buckskin for, and bags and pouches, and you can add beadwork and make beautiful things out of it. So please get into it. Anyway, follow me on my next videos. I'd love to see you come back, and yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. This is Riley Willis, and I hope to see you on my next video, and I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen so far. And if you have any suggestions, please do send me suggestions. I'd really like to hear them.